But where does AI come into play? AI comes into play to where the human cannot be at all time. AI is now asked to detect dangers and alert as early as possible.
Welcome to the Madden AI live podcast. I'm your host, Chris Madden, and today we have with us David Ly of Iveda AI. And David, thank you so much for joining. And how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Chris, and I just look forward to chatting with you. It's a hot day in Arizona all summer.
Awesome. Yeah, Arizona, and I'm calling from South Korea over here. The temperature, it's the end of the summer. It's still pretty hot days, but it's getting nicer. All right. Well, could you explain to our audience about Iveda and what your company is about and what you do for the world?
Oh, wow. That's a big one. Well, Iveda has been around in operation for nearly a little over 20 years, let's say that. And it was founded in the early 2000s, first on cloud video surveillance. We were one of the first companies that took video and video storage off-site into the data centers. And we hosted customers' data as a service. And this was in the early 2000s, towards 2010. But as we began gathering all this data, managing all this data, very heavy data, video, we realized that customers having such video always needed to and wanted to focus on what matters, relevant information and information instantly. So over the years, we evolved from learning and gathering customer feedback from the field. We realized that it's not about just storing that data. It's about the ability to retrieve what the customer needed at the time that they needed it most. And we got to do it quick. And that evolved in an automation process where not only were we storing data, we were watching video footage on our customers' behalf from 2008 to 2012. And we found that humans watching can only do so much. We can only capture and see so much without getting tired and missing things. And that's a human flaw. It's a realistic accountability. And therefore, we had to develop technology that would, mitigate all of that and would pick up where the human left off. So with all the video data and the manual reporting that we did back in the day, we've learned now over the course of our hardship is to develop and teach the machine to be on the lookout for certain objects. Instead of what the eye would normally be looking out for, we can teach the machine to learn the same techniques and to capture the same objects over a period of time. And with that, I'll segue right into development of deep learning technologies to correlate and make sense of all the data that we had and learning from machine to machine so that it could understand what the objects are and identify it at a specific date and time and automatically send notifications and alerts when it does recognize or detect. Therefore, today, this is where Iveda AI was derived from, is from physical human limitation that caused some lack of service that called for intelligent automation or support. And today, Iveda AI is one of the world's fastest video vision platform out there, meaning we can search, notify, and detect almost any object. If we can't do it for you now, we can train it to do so in a very short order of time. With that said, technology is very spectacular, and what we're doing for the world is we're rescuing our customers' stayed infrastructure, meaning everywhere around the world, people have already invested, whether you're a small business or a big enterprise or government, you've already invested in some form of video surveillance for your security, safety, and just, watchful over your business. But today with Iveda AI, what we're doing for the world is we're saying, folks, you've already invested in good technology and infrastructure. You're seeing a video. You have already captured video through a hard drive or in some form. But now, what if there's technology that would leverage the same camera you invested 5, 7 years ago and now do more with it without any overhaul of your existing system? And that's what Iveda is doing now. We're not just in safety and security. Because of the AI and the intelligence, we're helping businesses be more efficient. We're protecting inventory. We're helping cities and organizations actually generate more revenue by leveraging existing infrastructure. So there's a lot of cool real world applications just because the technology is so easy and flexible.
That's wonderful. And so it's more of
Technology
a software. It's not the hardware. You're not building the cameras and
and
distributing them. You're providing the software that uses those
me,
cameras to analyze all the data and make sense of them and provide value for the customers.
Chris, you hit it on the head there. That's exactly what we do. Our expertise and the duration of time in the industry, we are the IP camera or video surveillance experts. And in the early days, yes, the hardware, what resolution the hardware was comparable and competitive when you go out and sell to the industry. But today, the standards are so high now. Anything you get out there is more than decent, more than acceptable. So it's not about the hardware anymore. To us, a video or an IP camera, we call it an optical sensor. It's just another sensor out there, just like motion,
Touch.
or open, close. Video cameras to us now are just another form of a sensor. And making sense of that data is where Iveda, as the software, comes in. We're helping make more sense of that data, and we're helping to define clarity for the customer in the shortest amount of time.
Great. And so when did you made the shift? You're saying 2008 to 2012, realizing it's the processing this information, getting to the customer as fast as you can. Is that when you started developing machine learning and AI systems?
Definitely. We began looking into and then cooperating with partners and researchers back in 2014 to start automating detection of specific objects on a screen, right? Because video surveillance is just recording everything and you and I look at it. Usually the typical way of using it is, oops, something bad happened. Let's go back and see. So first you got to know when to go back and you got to know what you're looking for. And at times you have enough information that you can do so and pinpoint it exactly. Other times you might get it, something happened, but you don't quite remember when, who, what car was parked next to, etc. And now you got to do a lot of searching, days, weeks, even, it takes a while. What Iveda's doing is we did that as a service for our customers. So we now, in order to allow our business to operate more efficiently and to scale effectively, we knew that keeping it under the human aspect alone would not make it. It's almost impossible. We developed software to help automatically identify as we would like to do so 24/7. So yes, that cooperation began in 2014 was, deep learning, machine learning. We didn't go around the town calling it AI back then. It was just a methodology of gathering data, processing data, and identifying data. And we did it very well. And it was teaching. And of course, we went ahead and evolved from the physical deployments alone to now really understanding how to best manage the data, how to leverage data to train for certain activity and automate it. So from there is when we began launching Iveda AI, the video search platform, right? So it's one of the most powerful vision platform out there today because it wasn't just recently developed. It was developed to solve a problem. And then given AI, the learning aspects and the data available out in the open world and open internet really supported its methodology, supported its system for growth and development. So today it's continuous improvement. But Chris, you and I can train the system now to identify anything, something as simple without speaking just safety and security. We can define spills. We can define that the glass is half full, notify the wait staff to go and fill that up. We can identify VIP guests that are entering the lobby of a hotel so that, they get the VIP greeting that they've earned. So it's that type of business and business model leveraging the intelligence that makes it a driver, a motivating force or reason to adopt this technology. It's not just 2025. It's not, oh, let's see who climbed my fence and broke into my public storage. So it's really moved beyond that the mindset.
That's really cool. Yeah, I want to hear more about those use cases and the ones that you're excited about. I wonder
Alert.
first if you could say, like, what is the most popular use case of Iveda AI that customers are using today?
Well, today I have to say it does revolve around safety and security. But today, most popular, it's identifying and counting, IDing how many people are where at a certain moment in time, right? That is crowd control. That is also sales and marketing. If I put up a display somewhere, whether on the street, the mall, or in my store, we are able to now understand throughout the course of the day, is that display attracting the amount of people that we hope it would, right? So it's business intelligence is where I'm seeing most use, but at the same time, it also accounts for traffic. Traffic as in how many vehicles have crossed it and been in this area, what type of vehicle, not just how many, but what type. Is it a motorcycle? Is it a four-door sedan? Is it a truck? Or is it a bus, etc.? That type of information allows that organization or that agency to better equip itself, prepare itself to improve efficiency and safety. You see, so it's a matter of collecting the relevant data first, and then that data helps you make sense of that situation so that you know what to do in order to improve safety and security. It's kind of a work backwards concept, but it makes more sense. Instead of just say, we need more security, so we need to add more video. What for? More video just means you got more to look at after something bad happens. So now what we're doing is we're leveraging that video. How folks are using this now is they're leveraging that video and accounting for all this unique type of data sets that could be retrieved intelligently from that video, and then taking that data and then designing a protocol with reason to why you're putting something in place. That's what makes sense. People are finally making sense of the data that they have. That's what is being used. And I can go to the typical, what everybody thinks is face recognition, license plate recognition. Yes, that's analytics that AI can do very swiftly, can search very swiftly. But what do you do with that? You got to design a protocol around that first. So that's just a few things that AI is doing.
I wonder, are the customers like shopping centers and like larger places where people are gathering, and then they're using, and it's kind of like more customized search criteria that people can like ask to search for, and then you're like creating the protocols for them based on what they're thinking of?
Yeah, close. The platform comes standard with a plethora of object recognition, right? Everything from people, faces, cars, color, protective devices, helmets. So you can imagine any objects, and I'm going to mention it, weapons, okay? They can detect weapons and alert in real time on any of these set detections. The good news is it comes preloaded with a lot of capabilities and applications. And so the customer can go ahead and customize. But what's great now is because it is true AI and it can be taught, what the customer may need that we may not provide now in the default offering, Chris, we can train it to recognize not just a glass of water, but we can recognize that every time a glass of water goes below half, send me an alert. Right? And it can count how many glasses of water versus glasses of wine are sitting on that table, any table within a restaurant, leveraging the existing camera. But answering your question, who's using us? You are correct. We do see big shopping centers, and we do have hospitals. We do have parking garages. We have corporate enterprises that leverage it for their physical exterior safety and security usage. Any traditional safety and security need is now enhanced with AI, right? So whatever the purpose that you invested in video surveillance or camera technology for it up to us, now that same system you can automate to actually perform the duties that you had wished it could do for you without requiring the human all the time. So we're lucky to say, be able to answer your question, Chris, is that there's a multitude of verticals from the simplest of, let's say, a public storage here down the street, okay, to a 7-Eleven in Hong Kong, the chain that is, to construction sites, new construction sites, studios, sports arenas, you can name it. And I'll share with you something unique here. When you think of sports arena and video surveillance, the standard of safety and security would come into play. We catch the bad guys, we catch the troublemakers. That's a given. But what we're doing at one of our customers' site is we're helping keep stadiums cleaner. We're improving service for the goers, right? Customers. There's one customer that is leveraging video surveillance that every time a certain amount of people in and out of all the public restrooms throughout the stadium, there's a notification for maintenance to service that particular restroom. So if you can imagine walking into the cleanest restrooms at all time and never be out of toilet paper by any chance, that is beautiful customer service. And that's an example of how organizations now are leveraging AI. It's no longer just, hey, we want to catch the crook. No, we want maintenance to be up to par. We want to improve our customer service, but we want to be very efficient. You don't want to have staff standing by when they're not needed. But staff will be notified very appropriately when it's best to begin a certain task or service around the clock. So that's an example of efficiency and enhancing customer service. And believe it or not, it also cuts costs at the same time.
The people that are using it, there's a dashboard, in the security center, there'll be a dashboard and they'll get alerts. Are there push notifications? Somebody comes in with you see a gun, the red alert. What does that look like for the client, the customer's perspective when something alertful happens?
Thanks for asking that. Now I can paint the picture. So great question. Let's use the American schools, typical American high school. Okay, if you can help me picture that. High schools today, especially the later built, of course, already have cameras, and some have access control. And then all that means is the automatic doors unlock with badges. You're going through with badges. Here's how AI, when added with Iveda AI, and then I'll use the extreme scenario, but it's going to be a good one because of early notification, right? Early detection. Let's say a perpetrator walks in from the parking lot and there's an exterior camera that sees just out the parking lot. And then there's also a hallway camera inside. If you can imagine, should the exterior camera see any form of a weapon handled by anybody walking towards the school, not only is it going to alert and notify appropriate personnel or law enforcement, however the customer sets it to, whatever your protocol is, you can also set every time it detects, not only does it alert, it can automatically trigger the door to lock. It could automatically trigger all the safety corridors to just lock. So it's limiting access to that perpetrator to cause horror. And at times, it may just lock that perpetrator in if they're already on property until law enforcement arrives. That's a very specific capability and use scenario for the technology because it can identify danger and take action on your behalf.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I was going to bring up the schools. If they were clients of yours, it seemed very, and even all the things you talked about, could be applied to schools as well. As far as cleanliness and detecting fights, detecting, people wandering around the halls even. Are schools a big clientele for you?
They are. It's been growing. Our first school was, I think, back in 2018 here in our neighboring city in Tempe. And ever since then, our national network has just been increasing gain increased interest from our educational systems, not just the elementary and local, but all the way to the university systems that we're engaging in today. So you bet. And for all those reasons, Chris, it's just not on weapons. It's not just on the major threats, but it's really handling and improving our educational environment so that the teacher can teach and the students can learn. So, what type of environment will be best and most comfortable for the student to learn? And it's not just technology that's going to keep them safe from the potential threat of a weapon on campus. It's a lot more than that. And you are right. It's everything from maintenance, it's everything from preventing a fight, preventing bullying, bully detection. There's so many things that in the past we've taken for granted and only dealt with after the problem has already taken place. But with technology today, it's all about prevention. And it's preventing from potential harms, potential foe, potential fights. It's all of the things that make school uncomfortable for the children. So yeah, it does more than just violent detection.
And I'm sure you get a lot of concerns about privacy and all this. People are being recorded, and how's that data being used? And what is your response to people that have privacy concerns?
Yeah, I've been addressing that for almost 20 years now when it comes to cameras, right? I mean, speaking, keeping it politically correct, I say that, look, in public areas, I, as a private citizen, do truly believe that when I'm out in the street, right, I shouldn't be doing anything I don't want the public to see. But now taking it to heart, let's say privacy concerns we've heard when cameras are on school, and especially now with AI, the misconception is that, oh my God, AI is spying on our children. That's an absolutely false thought or statement, because cameras that exist on schools today are already recording everything in public corridors, right, for the safety of our children, and to also look back for any accidents that may occur, so how we can prevent it. But nobody's looking at you full time. Nobody has time to care, right? It's there as a precaution. But where does AI come into play? AI comes into play to where the human cannot be at all time. AI is now asked to detect dangers and alert as early as possible. And I too have 3 children that are still in school. My goodness, any of my school that says they're investing in this technology, count me in. Where's my tax dollars going, right? The last thing I'm concerned about is somebody spying on my kid. I'd rather have intelligence keeping watch of the so-called property that my kids are on at that point in time. So yeah, maybe I'm a little biased when it comes to privacy because I understand the technology. And frankly, Chris, I'll share with you, everybody thinks that we're so important, that we're so popular, that people care to just stare at us and be nosy about our business. Technology doesn't do that. And there's not enough staff or human beings to even think about that. You know, we can't even clean our restrooms in time, yet to worry about what your kid is doing. We got to keep everybody safe as a whole. So yeah, I'm going to answer it very personally when it comes to privacy and where my stand is.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. Anybody that goes out into the public space, I mean, once you leave your house, especially with like cell phone technology and everyone having like a Ring camera on their doors and stuff, it's like you go outside and it's like, okay, you can expect that there's probably a camera somewhere that can see you. And so it's like, it's just kind of part of being a public citizen now, is that your actions are being potentially surveyed, and hopefully encourage you to not doing anything you wouldn't want to potentially be put on the internet or something, you know?
Yes, sir. Yeah, no, I totally agree. I totally agree. And we probably post more about ourselves than people care to see at times. Let's just speak the truth there, you know? We complain, oh, my privacy. I go on Facebook and see everybody already.
Yeah, living in South Korea, it's one of the safest societies in the world. A lot of it's culturally, and it's a homogenous society. I think there's only maybe 2% of the population is like not Korean. And one of the things that they have, though, is there's CCTV cameras everywhere. And there's no cops pulling people over because there's cameras everywhere that can tell if you're speeding. And you know, if you get in an accident, there's going to be capture of like who is at fault. I mean, I think in schools, I know in some schools, and especially in the academies, they have cameras in every class, and it's kind of like monitoring the teacher, helping to monitor the teacher to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to, but also any issues that arise. So, it's totally the big brother society. And there's a lot of countries like that around the world. I wonder, do you have clients outside of the US?
Yes, we have clients in Mexico. We have clients in the Philippines, Vietnam, Taiwan, just to name a few. I know we're on the topic of schools, but yeah, the US is where our schools and university interests has really been growing. But the use of video surveillance, like you said, Chris, you are correct. In South Korea and you talk about Japan, same thing. Safety, people accept it as safety. They're not doing it out to do anything wrong. And when the bad guys out there doing something wrong, they should be caught. So if you are law-abiding, going about your day, trust me, there's nobody behind that camera watching you. Nobody has time and nobody cares. I'm going to say that out loud. But if you're a bad guy, all of a sudden, all the attention gets to you. So yeah, we as society better hope that there's a tool, a means of understanding it and investigating it and just catching a bad guy. That's the oldest rule in the book. But now technology is just helping assist to do so more quickly, efficiently, and frankly, more accurately. And that's the side of technology that people tend to forget. They aim on the, oh my God, it's intruding on your privacy. No, it's not. It doesn't have time. It doesn't want to. And nobody wants to either.
Yeah. And when it catches the bad guy, that's what it's there for. And that's what technology is used for, is to help make people's lives better and safer. So
yes, sir.
In Korea, they'll, like, if somebody, robs a convenience store or something, which is, again, a rare occurrence, but it's like the people end up getting caught because there's cameras everywhere, and they'll put the photos or the videos like all across the national news, and like that's the crime news of the evening. And so like the whole country's just like,
safety.
Who is this guy? Oh, I know America's a different culture and different society, and we do have way more space, and we do still have a lot of spaces that aren't video surveyed, but that's going to be less and less as time progresses and technology keeps increasing. So,
Chris, I want to share something. You brought up a good point. You know how they say they post a picture of the perpetrator and wow, everybody sees it? I still, here in the States, I would walk by a strip mall or shopping plaza and I still see it. People will take a picture, they print it out and they'll put it on and they're saying, hey, give me back my whatever the guy took, or you are no longer welcome here. Store owners, shop owners are still doing that today. They're posting it. But you know what's cool about Iveda AI? That same store owner, whether they have 2 cameras or 4 cameras, it doesn't matter what scale. Did they invest in Iveda AI and have that technology work on their behalf? If they already have a picture of that person, guess what? You upload that person to the system. The moment the camera sees that person again, you're going to get notified. Period.
Yeah, red
That's
alert.
Another
red
application.
Alert. The person's back.
Yeah.
How about use cases that you kind of mentioned the restaurants and maybe that like customer service aspect? Is that like a newer thing you're trying to go into, of like providing efficiencies in restaurants and let's say Starbucks or coffee shops or something?
I believe that when you seek to support, to enhance efficiency and to help any business, big or small, be able to increase their earnings, increase their revenue, then that's what makes the good partnership. That's what makes you a good service provider, and that's what makes the customer happy to leverage the technology. It's not about selling another box, another device that's going to do something cool. It's about how are you going to make me more money, and how are you going to save me more money, and how might you make my operation safer and more attractive for my patrons. So the answer is yes. And, labor's always going up, and quality labor is far and few in between nowadays. So if you can leverage the great team that you have now and technology to support them and make them more efficient and allow them to technically, be at more places than one at the same time through technology, then yes, that's how you enhance a business operation. That's how you add value immediately to any operation. And when it comes to hospitality and retail, those margins are pretty tight. And it's all about service. If you and I feel good every time we walk into any service oriented establishment, we come back. We become very loyal. And that's what technology, especially AI, is helping these organizations do. And when it comes to safety, we're now detecting fire, we're detecting smoke, we're detecting spills. I'm not just talking orange spills where the trip and fall incidents of the grocery stores, that's being taken care of. But we're talking about industrial safety as well, oil spills, right? Flooding, all kinds of things that are nature or not natural that could cause harm and that could build up in some type of disaster. AI is helping us do that now 24/7. And we as the operator can configure and set these early detection so that we don't have to deal with after the fact incidents.
And any more use cases that you haven't mentioned yet that you're like excited about the potential of AI and video detection?
Yeah, it's about the ability to inspect, right? Inspect what? Merchandise. I'm one that when I order something and I open up the box, I want it to be perfect, right? It's new. And what we're learning that I'm seeing very excited is we're learning from our manufacturer customers. And I'm talking about any type of from computer chipset to actual computer to actual day-to-day electronics packaging. What's happening now is when things run through or run down a conveyor belt before it's wrapped up, put in a little package and shipped out to you, humans are still putting in the gateway and the detector and then the manuals and color boxes, whatever it is. If you can imagine AI now is doing that final inspection that is this package packed perfectly before we wrap it up and ship it out. That's very exciting for me because I didn't realize that that is a very common need throughout the entire industry right now is logistics and packaging. There's also another thing is we're working with the post offices, the postal services. There's handwritten packages that people wrap up and kind of just tape up in a ball and stick their address on. Can you imagine if the post office couldn't get that delivered and it gets returned and it's placed somewhere in the post office? Now try to find that package again. This is an issue that I didn't know about. Well, leveraging AI before that package is just taken and just laid down, and then the clerk goes and takes care of another customer and it does the same thing and really doesn't know where that last brown package was because everything else is brown as well. Imagine AI reading. This is standard OCR technology, but with AI, it's going to assign and do something with it. It's going to read your handwriting. It's going to say, this is from Chris to David Ly, okay? And the moment you read that, the whole system goes, oh, Chris and David Ly, this package, this date and time, put it in box 2 blue or 2B. Clerk goes, puts it in box 2B and forgets about it, never have to worry it again. But what's cool is he does this with 50 to 60 to 100 packages a day. Post office is well organized now with this system. So when Chris comes in and goes, David said he never received his package. I go, David who? David matches to Chris Madden. Oh, that's box 2B. It's not, oh yeah, let me check and see. You go through the rubble of lost and found. That's a very cool tool, and a cool process. And we're helping build that type of service, leveraging everything that post office already have. They already have cameras in existence. They already have cubby boxes everywhere. We're really working closely with our customers to design something that will mean more to them than just, oh, I got to go and buy something. Everybody has to invest in something, but no one wants to just go out and buy something and hope that it's going to work. So we're working very closely to customize these very particular use cases. And when successful, Chris, you can see it's just not for one deal, one guy. It's similar problems all around the world. So that's what we're doing every day is proving one concept at a time and innovating one
I
day
love
at a
it. Well,
time.
and you said one of the buzzword here. You said, imagine AI reading handwriting. Imagine AI. Yes.
Yay!
All right. Well, I've got a few more questions. So How do you approach pricing? Because it's such a
Oh,
depends on how many cameras or the size of data that's being processed. Yeah, curious about that.
good question. And with all different types of people hearing me here when we talk pricing, I'll just make it very simple. We operate very traditional when it comes to the video surveillance industry. People understand camera and they understand license per camera. So it's a 1-to-1. We're not changing what people are already within the industry, customers, and that's how they purchased. And this is how other vendors and manufacturers have sold. So we're not going to change that up, right? Why reinvent the wheel? But we made it very simple, Chris. Like you said, we're not going to waste time selecting what you need. I think I might need this feature. I might think I might need this analytic. We're going to have an all you can eat one price per year per camera. So it's the same whether you're a laundromat owner that has two cameras to do what you need to do and detect what you need to do, or you are a huge oil producer that needs to detect what you need to detect throughout the fields and the refinery. It is the same pricing model and it is that simple. And we also took it a step further. Instead of having software or hardware that resides within your IT environment, we're making it really simple for the grassroots to access. Meaning, let's say you are that laundromat owner and you know nothing about IT. You don't have an IT guy. You just know that you've got a camera that some technician came in and installed it for you 4 years ago, and that's it. It still works, appears on the screen. You can access it from your iPhone, whatever. That's all you know. But you want to add this cool AI thing to count how many customers you have coming into your shop and how long each customer stands at the register in order, how long does it take to service each customer and how long is a customer waiting to be serviced, drop off their clothes and pick up their clothes. You want that type of data and to improve your business, right? Now we have the Iveda AI cloud subscription. You can subscribe to every bit of the benefit that the big enterprise and government would have, starting at $99 a month, period. No hardware to buy, nothing new. You just log in online, register for an account just like you would Netflix. But in this case, it's going to ask you, which camera in your shop do you want to apply people counting in? Yeah. Okay. That's it. And have you ever had that crook that came, that smash and grab, and you had his face from the original incident? You now add that face to the system and tell the camera that if that face ever shows up again, alert me or alert whoever and let me know for $99 a month.
Nice. Yeah. Well, that makes sense for the pricing and the all inclusive options of because there are so many different things you could use it for. Makes sense. So, David, you've been a CEO for over 20 years of the same company. What advice or what learnings have you had from that time?
I think resilience and perseverance plays a big part to staying strong. I advise any CEO or any entrepreneur to stay healthy, stay fit, because you'll be abused by everybody around you all the time. These hard decisions that you have to make, these decisions that you have to make alone at times, trust yourself, trust your vision, follow through. And most important, as you have the opportunity to see results from your follow through, start investing time in your people, your team. I have to tell you, I hear people say it a lot. All the successful folks, thank you to my team. It's thanks to my team. I hear it all the time. But when you're a young hustler looking to continue to build your business, you feel to not have the time or energy nor the priority because you had to take care of so many other priorities. But I highly suggest young entrepreneurs or early CEOs to start thinking about building your dream team early. Don't be like me and wait later. Not that it ain't happening, believe me. I'm very proud. I'm so excited and I have so much to look forward to. And our team is feeling the same. But team culture, the right culture, the right attitude and mindset in your people. Total alignment. Start thinking about that and start building that now. Then you're going to save a lot of time, money, energy later. Best advice I can give to anybody.
That was great. You gave me some goosebumps. I think that it's really true. It's the people that make the company what it is, and you can't do it all by yourself. And you gotta build up the team and give them your trust and give them the culture and the tools to work with to succeed.
Yes, and don't be afraid to get rid of those that don't fit the culture. I've learned the hard way. We have a sense, right, Chris? You and I either like each other or not. Give us a week. We're going to figure out if we're going to make it long with each other or not. I also advise be true to yourself. Be truthful to yourself. You don't worry about feelings because it's all temporary. I worried about it so much. What would they think? What would others think? It cost me so much money and time, and it took me some time to learn. So now that I've learned, I advise all of you who are listening to me now, don't worry about it. Make your gut call. If it doesn't feel right, end it now. Because there's plenty of good people out there that want what you want and will be happy to stand by your side. So, man, I only wish I knew that 15 years ago, Chris. Had that same feeling, attitude, and mindset. But it's okay. We continue to learn.
How have you traditionally done your recruiting, or do you have advice on recruiting?
Yes, I've learned that you don't have to spend a lot of money. I mean, if you're a bigger company and you're talking about 10, 20 people every quarter, that's another thing. No, I'm one or two, maybe every 6 months a year. But still, here's what you do. Hire fast, fire fast. And I learned that from someone else, but I totally accept that to be the truth. Do not hesitate to make those decisions. Hire talent, and if they don't share the same attitude and mindset, politely ask them it's not a right fit. Keep doing it until you find the fit, because man, it's a wonderful feeling. It's an awesome culture to be in. It's a wonderful place to show up when you don't have any fart faces around the office. I was saying,
Yes.
I'm sorry, Chris. You know, people have to want to be somewhere to be happy. And if they don't, why pretend? Come on, guys. We're building a great company here, not anything else. So
Yep. I feel that in like a probationary period, like 2 weeks, and making it kind of clear too to the people, like,
yes,
hey,
yes.
this might not work out. Like, we're gonna give it a try. Like,
But
kind of how I've done it before. I do want to touch on one thing, and I feel like I have a lot more questions about being a CEO and leadership and all that now that we're getting into it. But we are running out of time. I want to ask about the IPO and the decision to go public and what it's been like being a CEO of a public company for how long now?
well, technically, I've been CEO of a public company since 2009.
Wow.
Yep. But we were a smaller company and we went over the counter here in the United States. And we uplisted to the NASDAQ, did the whole bell ringing ceremony and all in 2022. But to answer your question, the decision to go public was to enhance the ability and exposure of the company to scale effectively. I had a choice of growing this company to be a regional player, services throughout Arizona, New Mexico, Southern California, wherever we can physically reach. But the decision to go public was to have the exposure and the capital support when necessary to acquire technology, acquire companies that can contribute to your growth and more efficient scaling of the business. And I'm totally, in hindsight, I'm very thankful that that was possible for us. But Chris, I'll always be a transparent, sincere dude, man. It's a double-edged sword. It's hard. I'm not going to sit here and go, we're NASDAQ. My naive self as a younger CEO thought it was the coolest thing. No, it's a necessity for scale. It is a necessity for scale. But what's it like being a public company CEO? It's a responsibility, and the ridicules that you get based on misconceptions, misunderstanding, or simply lack of information by your public. So what do people do? They speculate, and they call you names at times when the stock is down, and they love you when the stock goes up. But we haven't changed. All we've done is go to work, do well, go home, rest, go to work again. Our process hasn't changed. mission vision is constantly growing. But when the stock goes up and down, it's the perception of the public. It's a wave. So you got to be strong as a public CEO and stay the path, stick to it, and follow through on your mission, despite what the heck noise is happening around you. So that's another learning experience for me over the past decade, Chris. It's fun. Don't get me wrong. It's an adrenaline rush because you have no choice, man. But you know,
Yeah, you're accountable to the public
yeah.
now. Well, David, it was fascinating hearing about your company and everything that you're doing and a bit about what it's like being a CEO. And thank you so much for joining the Imagine AI Live podcast. Is there any last thing you'd like to say to our listeners or how they can find you or your company?
Yeah, no, Chris, I want to thank you and Imagine AI. I love it. AI is the future. It's here. It is here to stay. But I just ask the Imagine AI audience, keep imagining because that's what AI is capable of. It's capable of taking your imagination and taking it and bringing it to life. That's what's fun about this, okay? And yeah, there's a lot of misconceptions out there. Well, build around that. Make it good for you and your business. That's what it's all about. I love the industry. I love the space. And I'm proud to be a leading player of this space.
Well, David, thank you so much. And I hope to talk again in a couple months. It'd be fun to check in 6 months or so.
I'd love that. Thanks, Chris, for the opportunity.